Hey guys, can you hear me? Yes or no? I know last time my mic was being weird and echoing. I don't know if I fixed it. I just moved some things on it. Is it still echoey? Or still? There's still an echo? How still an echo? It's gonna drive me nuts, you guys. Kind of weird. Hang on. Does that help at all? Okay. I'm moving things around on it. If not, I'll just unplug it and use the one on my computer, and I'll have to figure it out later. But I am talking. Do I? Still bad? Okay, hang on. Let me figure out which one it is to unplug first, because I have a lot of things plugged in on here. So sure. Can you guys hear me? Yes, no, maybe. Yes, no, better. Yes. Okay. Well, that's fun. So that's how that makes me feel. Hi guys, welcome in. Welcome in. You guys can see, oh, there's Dexter's ass. Dex, hey. Come here. He's okay. Here. Come here. Sit. Well, Dexter says hi. But welcome. Welcome. It's been a full 2 weeks since, yeah, you can just open the door a little. Dexter, you gonna go? Okay, bye, Dex. Yeah, hang on. All right. Thank you. All right, yes, so we have new emojis. Each one represents one of my mods. I have Thistle, Heather Bratt, Nora's grandma, Aaron, Merp. I haven't gotten Mo's yet, but she'll have one in there. But each one is them doing or saying something different. They each picked their own, so I love it though. But welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Yeah, right? Hey, Summer. Hey, K-Brace. Hi, Chase. Hi, Tony. Hey, Hippie Chick. Hey, Nora's grandma. Hey, Thistle. Hey, Lisa. Hey, in the bushes. Loving the laundry, Mish. What is up, guys? Hey, Chase. Hi, Eddie. K-Braze. NorCal Bowler. Cray Cray. What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? Did you guys all survive the eclipse today? You love them? There, Nora's grandma did hers. Hang on. To go back over to the chat so that I can see your guys' comments. But I think it just says, yeah, it just says Nora's grandma on mine. But that one's Nora's grandma. Hey, Glowbug. Hey, Inspector Gadget. Did you guys really? Okay, so I'm going to show you guys. Number one, how it all looked for me, but then also how I looked for everyone else. Hey, Leave It to Beaver, how are you? Thank you for coming. Let me show you guys what it looked like for me, and then show you guys how upset I was that I didn't get to see it, which I was annoyed about. Hey, Nonsense, thank you for stopping by. You just did a great live, guys. I actually just, Thistle, let me see if I can, hi, Vicky. I'm going to see if I can see if my Nightbot is working today or not. Last time it was not. And I had to like reconnect it. There we go. Go subscribe to Nonsense, guys. Becky over there does a fantastic job. I've been cracking up nonstop, but she's doing it for the right reasons, and it's great. So please go over there. Of course. I think you're hilarious. And I think it's because you say a lot of the things that I think in my head, but then I don't say out loud, which is why I find it so great. Ugh. I'll see what I can do. This'll let me know. All right. Let me see. Oh, sorry guys, I got distracted. Yeah, I just recently found Nonsense and she's great. Okay, sweet. Thanks, Thistle. All right, let's find the pictures of it. So, as you guys know, I am just north of Minneapolis in Minnesota. I try to stay somewhat safe. Some of you actually are local to me and know exactly where I live, but this is what I saw today. This was the sun. So that's how exciting it was for me. This was the eclipse for me. So that's exciting. Okay, sweet. Thanks, Eddie. And then I'll show you guys here now. I know, Mish. I saw yours. I saw the Snapchat you sent me, Mish. And it looked so cool. So then I'll show you guys. This was me as I stood outside being sad with my glasses and not being able to see anything. So this is about how my day has gone. But then we went to Starbucks and I was all right. I was still bummed. A lot of my mods have been able to send me videos of stuff, so it was cool to be able to see it. But I was a little pissed that of course it's freaking cloudy. I know. But then I see people who were still in Minnesota that were south and were able to like see everything. All right, so I'm trying to think of everything else that we want to go through tonight. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cases technically that I want to go over. But some of them are just touching here and there on the different things. Why? Was something supposed to fall, Eddie? Oof, the conspiracy theories with that are crazy. Oh man, me too, Vicky. Hi, Cray Cray. Hi, Ava. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, everyone. It's gonna kind of be a free-for-all tonight. So please feel free, give your opinions in chat. Everyone can have difference of opinions. As long as you guys just stay respectful, that's all I ask. Everyone is welcome here. I just ask no, obviously stay respectful, no trash talking or anything like that. So just can't look directly at the sun. Right. Hi, KK. So I guess, where should we start? I'll kind of go over the list of everything I'm going to touch on. I'm going to touch on Corey Lambert, which if you guys saw, his mom, Vicky Lambert, is in chat. And they had a march for Corey and for the victims of violence in Mississippi. So I'm going to show you guys some pictures from that. I'll go over the flyers they were handing out at the march. There is a... Hi, Jennifer. It's good to see you. There is a new episode of 48 Hours that is coming out in the Madeline Kingsbury case. So I'll give you guys the information about where and when to watch that. There was a case that was sent to me on Twitter. And it was of a missing woman from the Washington, Oregon area named Christina Ace. I think that's how you say her last name. So I'll bring up her poster and kind of give you guys the rundown on her situation. We have the updates on the potential for the Stacey Peterson case. So if you guys followed Drew Peterson in the Stacey Peterson case, her sister has come out stating that she believes that she found her sister's body, which is interesting. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on something that came out with the Idaho 4. And then we are going to touch on the missing moms out of Oklahoma. Hi guys. I know. I also want to touch on the incident, the Apple River incident. I have been watching it. Hi Gavel Geeks, welcome in. I actually watched, what was it, day 3, I think, with Tracy Ann chasing. Thank you, Thistle. Over on one of her other channels. I have to grab it. I have it. Right? Nonsense? It is. And it's just, I don't know. I'm torn because me being the type of person that I am, for those of you that don't know, I went to schooling for this. So I have my master's in forensic psychology. So I want to get to the nitty gritties of everything. And so, but it's also very hard because I'm also a very empathetic person and I don't like the speculation exploitation side of true crime, which also will lead me into, I'm not going to touch on Sebastian Rogers' case. I will bring up his flyer just so that you guys, his face is still shared out there. But other than that, I'm not going to touch on it. I think there's so much to it now that it's almost hard to cover it, even if you're just doing the facts of it, because of the speculation shit show that is YouTube true crime when it comes to his case. So it's just there. I'm going to show his flyer, but that's about it. And then I'm trying to think. I think that's oh, I want to see if any of you guys have watched Quiet on Set as well. Have any of you guys watched that? The documentary about Nickelodeon? Just curious if anyone's watched it. Yeah, I agree. Cray, yeah. That's kind of where I am too. It's definitely one where you need a trigger warning. It is about SA. We are going to read a few of the things. It goes into Dan Schneider, who is the creator of a lot of the... Thanks, Summer. It's a stamp. I couldn't do it on my own. You get the little stencil and the stamp, and it stamps on your eyebrows for you, and they look fantastic. So don't give me too much credit. But so Dan Schneider, who's created a ton of the biggest Nickelodeon shows, all the way back to All That, The Amanda Show, up through Victorious, iCarly. Um, yeah, it's crazy nonsense. Oh, hi, Heather Brett. Hey, Miss M. Um, all the way to now, I think Henry Danger, which I only watched that once, and it was with a little kid that I was nannying at the time. Um, but just a lot of the stuff that was kind of like nonsense said was pushed under the rug. Um, and the unfair situations in the workplace, but also the fact that Nickelodeon had hired at least 3 convicted essayers. Um, and a lot of them worked on the same sets all together where these kids are, and all this stuff, to the point where there's a lawsuit. And I don't know how many of you guys watch Drake and Josh. It was one of the shows of my childhood, so it was very much like, oh. And I think that's why that documentary hit me so hard, because I literally grew up on all that, The Amanda Show, Kenan and Kel. And then I watched Victorious and iCarly, but more like with my sisters versus like me myself. I was born in 94. So I Chase, they didn't. um but it did get to that point where there was actually a lawsuit. Hi, Sleuth Mom. It's good to see you. There was actually a lawsuit back in 2004 of the dialect coach essaying one of the child actors on these shows, and we now find out that it was Drake Bell from Drake and Josh. They went to court. He was convicted of this. Um, and it's crazy. Drake Bell has now started talking about the situation to a certain extent. Yeah. See, Gabble Geese. And the thing is they are funny. But it's like, there are other things. There's a lot of very uncomfortable things that show up in the documentary, where you're just like, "Oh, this is uncomfortable." And then, there was a lot of thing to do with feet and different things like that, where it was just like, "Eh." You look back at it now and it's like right, Sleuth Mom? Heather's always had a wrench since I started my channel. I know. Well, in nonsense, one thing too, when it comes to Drake, is if you remember at all, there was a situation with Drake a few years back where he was charged with endangering a minor for potentially talking with a minor underage inappropriately. And it was literally blown out of proportion. Like, obviously, anyone talking to a minor is one thing, never diminishing that at all. But the actual storyline of everything and how it all occurred and how it all like went through. Oh, Eddie, thank you guys so much. Thank you. You didn't have to do that. Thank you, Eddie. Thistle, will you drop Eddie's link too, guys? Eddie at All Things Serious over there, guys. He does a great job on the mental health side of things. He does a lot of really, really great content over there and interviews a lot of people as well. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Thistle. Trying to watch chat and my notes and remember what I'm trying to say at the same time. But yes, and so they ask him about it in the documentary as well, and he, I guess but that's the thing, is the situation is that what was put out in the tabloids was not accurate, which, ooh, surprise, surprise. Who would have thought? Um, yeah, right, Sleuth Mom. Or even just the fact that, like, I don't even know, thinking you want to be there. Hey, little brats, leave mom alone. But still, regardless, like, that they all were just not only that, but then there's the racial inequality that comes into play. There's male versus female. There's different things. Actually, if you guys didn't know, hi Nanax. Nanax, we were actually having this conversation the other day, me and Nora's grandma, about do you prefer Nanax or do you prefer Nana times 3? Curious. Yes, the environment was horrendous for these kids. Yes. Um, but trying to think. Right. That's what I was gonna say, Sleuth Mom, is I remember being their age and wanting to be like, oh my god, being on all that would be so much fun. Okay, Nanax. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's crazy. But if you guys didn't know, there was a 5th episode that finally came out. It was last night at like 7 p.m. And it is a handful of the child actors and stuff that were interviewed in the beginning. Hi, Ringo. um, that were interviewed in the actual first parts of the documentary that come back and talk about their experience since this aired for the first time. Um, yeah, KK, you're right, 100%. Hi, LFT. Also, guys, 2 things before we get. Of course, I'm already talking. Yes, cray cray. Double Dare looked fun. Um, we had 2 birthdays. Merp's birthday, my lovely one of my besties, Merp. She's not in here right now. I don't know where the hell she is, but it was her birthday this last weekend. She celebrated. And then today is Miss Tia Dash's birthday. So please, guys, wish them happy birthday. Happy birthday to you both. You guys are the best. Yes. Okay. So where would you guys prefer we start tonight? Should I go starting with the ones that we have less information on or more? I guess I should say. I keep forgetting how far behind my chat gets when I'm in here, and then I'm like, oh, I'm quiet. It is a lot. It's crazy. I don't know where Merp is. What should we? So what was the question? I'm gonna cover. I'll show you guys the information on Maddie first. So for those of you guys that don't know the case of Maddie Kingsbury, she's out of Winona, Minnesota. It is people that I am close to, that I love dearly, that are directly involved in this case. So it's something that I take very seriously. Well, Sissel, I did not. If everyone could wish Sissel happy birthday too, just in case. Use pictures. Okay, hang on. I actually have one. Hi, Theo. I actually still have my Maddie picture. So this is Maddie. This is Maddie Kingsbury, Madeline Kingsbury. She was missing. It was a year on the 31st of March was the day she went missing. Her body was then found in June, I believe. It was 69 days after she went missing. She's a mom of 2, and the father of her children was arrested for her murder. I've had the pleasure of meeting people within Maddie's family. And if you guys know me at all or have watched any of my other videos, you know that it is something that I hold very close to me, but I also don't. I try to share what's put out by the press, not necessarily. I don't know how to explain it. Regardless, she is. Yeah. I want to say she was 27 when she was killed. Her birthday was right around when she was found, too. So let me grab the other screenshot. I have so many screenshots, so I'm just like, no idea. All right, so let me take Maddie off the screen here. I'll show you guys the info. So if you guys aren't, we do have the Finding Madeline Kingsbury page on Facebook, which I believe we have a link to. Thistle, I think it's just Maddie Facebook. We'll see if Nightbot wants to, or yay! There's a link to the Facebook page if you guys do want to end up joining or following along. There's a lot of updates on the trial and everything like that, as well as, yes, yeah, cray cray. And I will admit, I'm very much biased in this case, which I do think happens whenever you end up talking with a family of any kind. Um, but I think it's more than that. Like, I didn't talk to a family to talk to a family. Um, I'm friends with them, if that makes sense. Anyways, so 48 Hours is airing Maddie's story next Saturday, April 13th. So this Saturday, technically now. At 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on CBS and Paramount Plus. Sleuth Mom, it's not at trial yet. They just had the 2 contested omnibus hearings, and then yes, Sleuth Mom, exactly. And then they have one more contested omnibus hearing at the end of this month. But both sides have already stated, both the prosecution and the defense have stated that they are wanting to be sweet and sleuthy, have trial begin this fall. So neither side is pushing back. They're all doing it, but he is being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree murder. So, true, cray cray. I think for me it's just hard because I am the type of person where I like to look at everything, um, and not necessarily stick to one side or the other. Now I will say I've seen a lot of evidence, so I do think I'm biased. I'm obviously biased because of I care about people that are on Maddie's side, obviously, but I think the evidence also can help that. So, but anyways, yes, so you guys will be able to watch this April 13th on CBS and Paramount Plus. So I just want to make sure you guys all had that out there. Once again, as well, my mods will be dropping the domestic violence hotlines. We have a few different things. We have them for a few different countries that we can drop. But yes. All right. So that's all I had for Maddie. So otherwise I'm going to lose my mind. Let's go into the March for Corey. So a few times ago, 2 lives ago. Hi, Allie. Thanks for stopping by. 2 lives ago, we went over the case of Corey Lambert. So if you guys don't remember, it's in Mississippi. His mom came on and chatted with us. She's in chat. She was in chat when we started the live here. And he was killed. It was ruled as self-defense, but he had been shot 9 times. 7 of those 9 were in the back when he was already on the ground. So we kind of went through the entirety of the thing. We have to be very careful with the information that is put out because no charges were placed. And we also don't ever want to accuse someone of anything because everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But there was definitely an overwhelming belief about the background of Corey's case. Yes. Let me grab. I have my pictures. Give me just a second. Close that one. It just had it up too. Do I have my smiling picture? Hang on, I'm looking on my desktop because I can see them. Is Vicky in here? Did she talk in chat yet? Yeah, there you are. Vicky, can I show them the picture of you and Corey? 11 shots, 9 in the back now. Okay. Can I show the picture of you and Corey at the restaurant? I don't want to show it until she says yes or no. just because that's the one that I have on my desktop that I can pull up really quick. So if you guys do see Vicky in chat, Vicky Lambert is Corey Lambert's mother. Wonderful woman, fighting hard for justice in this case. I'm not going to show it till Vicky gives me permission, but I'll show you guys. I'm pretty sure it's chill because I used it in the last one, but I still don't want to ruffle any feathers. But regardless, so Vicky had set up with, as well as Corey's friends and other family, to do a march. Now she gave me the exact coordinates of where they ended up marching. Okay, yes, thank you. Bring it up. All right, so this here, you guys will see it's a picture of Corey and Vicky. Yeah. All right. So this is Corey. He is the one who was killed. Now, we went into a lot more detail in our live that was specifically covering Corey. And we also go into the question marks. Okay. Thanks, Vicky. Of when is self-defense no longer self-defense? So, but they ended up doing a march from Louise Peeler Park by City Hall through downtown area of Boonville in Mississippi during their craft festival. So I am going to bring up those photos then that she has graciously shared with me. And let's see. Bring up. Unfortunately, when I'm sharing like the individual photos, I can't just like switch over. I have to like close out, open the next one, and so on. So there's that one, which is why then it looks like I'm just like all over the freaking place. So here's the first one. You guys can see him marching down the center there. Make sure you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. Yes, okay. So this is, like they said, they walked down and they were going through the craft festival that was going on. You guys can see they all had the Justice for Corey Lambert, murder is murder, so on. Oh, Lisa, thank you so much. You're the best. I love Elisa. She's the best. So definitely praying for peace and justice. Yep. Absolutely. Norris grandma. Absolutely. So this is the one picture, like I said, you guys can see. I think one of the most interesting parts, not interesting, interesting is the wrong word, impactful, is the shirts that they're wearing. You guys can see here they have made shirts of where all of the gunshots were. 11 shots total, 7 to the back, 3 to the front. More specifically, I was trying to do everything by memory, but we did get it all right over in the other video. And then I'm going to show you guys once another photo that we have. And also, guys, there is a unsolved, or what is your Facebook group called? I'm going to bring it up, or at least have someone share it. The Corey Lambert Prentiss County Unsolved Murder Facebook group, which also has a lot of information in his case as well. Okay, sounds good. Let me just grab this last one. It's just a lot of me clicking around. All right, so then we have the second one here, which shows again. And yes, once again, guys, he was unarmed, so. Well, Music City Mom, he went towards them. Hi, NorCal Jim. It's good to see you. I'm glad you could make it. I'm glad you finally got a notification. Repeat that, please. Repeat what, please? It was ruled self-defense because supposedly he was going towards them. But the one thing that I haven't mentioned up till this point, but that we mentioned quite a bit in the other Live is that this is caught on camera. And although it is, oh, the Facebook group, Thistle. I don't know if I don't think I have it in the what. So we're trying to be very, because no one has been charged in this cray cray, I have to be very aware of what I'm saying. Um, so the individual that shot him was his ex-father-in-law. Now, he was picked up by his ex-wife and brought to the residence. We don't know why, we don't know how or whatever, but um that is the storyline. Now, there's cameras that Corey himself actually installed on the property. And they catch a lot of what happens. Yeah. So, but the thing is no one's been charged. We're trying not to share any names of individuals or anything like that. Um, but I have been trying to just get Corey's story out there. So, hi Kelly P. Trying to think of what else. Okay, so those are the other photos. Let's see. And then I have this. I'm going to read to you guys the flyers that Vicky was handing out at the march. So, what I like about this is it gives an overview of the case, which is fantastic. So, we'll read through this quickly here because it's not actually a ton of writing as much as it looks like it. And, oh gosh, there's me zooming. So it has the facts about the case. So, number one, Corey Lambert was unarmed. So he did not have any, and we have double checked again, but he did not have any gunshot residue on him at all. So, not only that, but there were others that were supposed to be gunshot residue checked and weren't because supposedly they could have handled it beforehand or had supposedly taken them from him, and so they might have it on his hands. Just there's a lot of bullshit when it comes to this whole story, and I say that with, in my opinion, there's a lot of bullshit that follows this whole story. And there's just there's a lot to it. But regardless, he was unarmed when he was shot. The Prentiss County Sheriff's Office did not order ballistics on shells found as they all belong to the individual's gun, allegedly. The state crime lab did not conduct a GSR testing on Corey Lambert because suspect allegedly they knew had not fired any weapon, despite alleged statements of individual that night to the contrary. This is supported by CCTV footage. Autopsy report states no firearm or gunpowder findings on right index finger. Shot through by the murderer. Had Corey Lambert held or fired a weapon, GPR would have been found. Right, cray cray? Right. Hang on. Let me see. Ugh. Vicky lost service, guys, so she's not answering my questions, but she gave me the okay to keep going. So, one of the, oh, there you go. Hang on, Thistle. You're good. You got in. One body cam failed or did not get turned on despite the policy of Prentiss County. Which is interesting. Even though it is regulated and mandated when dealing with the public or work-related incidents, that the officers who failed to have the body cam were the first officers on scene for both 911 calls, which I will say there were two 911 calls. The first one, they claimed that he was attacking her, but then when the police showed up, he was nowhere to be found. And then the next one is saying, oh, we killed him. Hi, Mark. Yeah. But then on a different body cam video, the person who fired the weapon stated no less than 5 times that he intended to kill Corey Lambert, yet officers presented and to the officers present, and then they ended up leaving within 15 minutes, Corey ends up being killed. So there's a lot to it. Also, the whole reason that they're claiming this is that Corey was supposedly attacking everyone else. And per the body cam video and audio of the officers that was actually given, where one of the officers did have their body cam on, you can hear them stating that there are no visible injuries identified on anyone present. Oh, sweet and sleuthy, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you. And for those of you who don't know, thank you, Thistle. Um, I any money that I get from memberships or from the lives or anything like that, I use to just pay for StreamYard and stuff, and then any additional, we as a community, my members and I, will choose to donate it to a place of our choice. I have a full-time job. I don't do this for the money. So it's just something that just know that you are supporting it, and then you also will have a say in where the money goes. I will say I don't make a ton on here, and it's usually 2 to 3 months before I even get paid out. Last month so we made the threshold, so we will be making a donation at the end of this month. But previous to this, we've done the Susan Cox Powell Foundation. I have donated to the Maddie Kingsbury's, her children's Venmo. And so just so anyone that is listening is aware, that is kind of how the money side works to at least my channel. So, let's see. We have Corey Lambert was brought to the location by his ex-wife as his truck 72 hours prior to his death had a baby oil substance put into the fuel tank. Cray cray, I'm not going to answer your question out loud, but I'm answering it with my head. Corey Lambert was noted on video to have his hair pulled, hit in the back of the neck, kicked, and taunted with his with his items thrown around by individuals present soon after the arrival. Corey Lambert was shot 11 times, 7 in the back, all caught on video, with the person who did it following him and shooting him in the back as he attempted to walk away from the person who did this. Shots were fired into the back of Corey as he was face down on the ground, not moving. Obviously this all also happened, guys. His death was November 1st, 2022. Like I said, there's a lot more into it. We do have a specific video for Corey's case that we go over everything, including the assistant coroner borrowing the sheriff's phone to call Vicky to say, hey, sorry, your son's deceased. No need to come up here, though. We're about to bring him to the morgue, in those words. So there's a lot to this case. And like I said, I'll keep you guys updated. I do stay in regular contact with Vicky, so yes. But I think that's all we had then. I do know, which Vicky will have to update me later on, but I do know that they are going to be doing another march for Corey Lambert, as well as other victims of violent crimes in northern Mississippi. I don't know if it's the end of this month or the end of next month, but once I do figure out a date and a place, I will post it on my community post. If you guys don't see me on a live for, a week or two, there's a high probability that I'm posting on a community post. So yeah, cray cray. Absolutely. All right. So let us see where we are now. Shall we? All right. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into the one that I was sent on Twitter. If you guys don't follow me, it's just Mallory Doyle, my name on Twitter. I retweet a lot on there. Okay, Jennifer, have a good night. I don't really post a lot of my own information, but you can get a hold of me on there if you need to. But I had an individual send me a missing persons flyer. So I'm going to put it up here. So this is Christina Ace. She is a 61-year-old female, white Latina, 5'8", brown eyes, gray-brown hair. And this is in Washington, like near the Washington-Oregon border. So I've always had it, cray cray. It's something I've always had. Plus it's out there on everything else. But don't worry, I do the double protection of stuff, so it doesn't bother me too much. All right, but there is an article that I want to read to you guys that'll give you guys just a little bit more information when it comes to Christina's case. Make sure. Here we go. You'll have to go back and watch the live from a few weeks ago. Yeah, cray cray. Thank you, Nora's grandma. All right, so I'm going to take this one down and I'm going to read over the article with you guys just to get Christina's name and face out there. She's from Vancouver, Washington. All right. This is by KPTV, Fox 12. And I'm going to kind of read through it for you guys. So, vigil for missing Vancouver woman. This is in West Lynn, Oregon. So this is where she goes missing potentially. So, it has been a week and a half since 61-year-old Christina Ace was last seen on March 26th. So we're now on what, April 8th? So anyone want to math for me? 4, 5, like 2 weeks ago? On a rainy Friday night, her friends and coworkers held a vigil. Okay, so this is she was last seen about 2 weeks ago. Friends and coworkers held a vigil at the Roseland Care Center where she works. 10 days is such a long time, said Kathleen Wyatt, who has been working for ACE for going on 10 years. I think about her out in this rain. Isn't that silly? The group lit candles and shared fond memories. Michael Peacher said they're keeping their friend, coworker, and loved one in their thoughts. He remains hopeful that she will be found soon. She would do this for anyone here and more, Peacher said. It's the least we could do. She's still with us. I can't wait to see her again. Once again, guys, here's another photo of her. Vancouver police say Ace went missing after she left her home early in the morning and hasn't been seen since. They call her disappearance highly unusual given the consistency of her day-to-day routine. She seemed the most unlikely person because she wasn't the kind of person that was ever in harm's way, Wyatt said. We are still keeping our fingers crossed and have faith that we will see her again, Peacher said. Ace works as the director at Roseland Care Center, where her coworkers called the police when she didn't show up for work on the day of her disappearance. You couldn't ask for a better person to oversee your loved one's care, Peacher said. She's the kind of person that would stop in the street to help someone, Wyatt said. The group gathered in solidarity and is hopeful someone may come forward with information regarding Ace's disappearance that will help to bring her home. We're all worried, Peacher said. We're not giving up. We're hopeful that we will see her again. Now one thing, let me grab this one more time. Which, of course, because I put it on here, I can't see ish. So I'm going to try and find it in here so that I can bring it up and increase it. Close that one. Also, guys, every article that I use or talk about in this live is linked down below. So where is it? Because there's a little bit more information on this, but I have to make sure. Of course not. I'll just read it via my phone then, because it's going to bug me. All right. So it says on March 26th, Christina Ace, a 61-year-old woman, was reported missing to the Vancouver Police Department by her husband, which is a little bit of a difference because in that article it does state yes, yep, Nora's grandma. Yeah. It says coworkers also called police when she did not show up to work earlier that morning. Christina was last heard from around 6:30 a.m. on the morning of March 26th. Now, one interesting thing about this as well, though, is that her vehicle was found unoccupied in Vancouver on March 27th. So she goes missing the morning of March 26th, and then her vehicle is found the next day in Vancouver when she is supposed to be in Westland, Oregon. It's found in Vancouver, Washington. Police believe her disappearance is suspicious and far outside of what her normal pattern consists of. Police and Christina's loved ones urge anyone who knows Christina or has had contact with her within the weeks leading up to her disappearance to contact VPD, so Vancouver Police Department Detective Nicholson or Sergeant Bayou. Their contacts are jason.nicholson at thecityofvancouver.us or julie.bayou, Ballou, at cityofvancouver.us. So, other than that, there's not much known about this case, but I wanted to make sure to get her face out there in case any of you guys are in the area. You never know. It only takes one person to have seen something or know something to break a case. So I always want to make sure that I can share things when I have the ability to. So, okay. What else do we got? We have, I'll bring up this one. As you guys know, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is missing out of Tennessee. I have not covered this case personally. Sleuth Mom has been covering it fantastic from the beginning. I literally will go back and I've watched, which I don't know, Sleuth Mom, if you're still here, but I've gone and I've went back and watched like all of your videos of like the 6-7 hour streams that you did of the interviews and stuff, and it's so good. But other than that, I would say go to Sleuth Mom. Who else is covering this that's reliable? It's very hard because, like I said, Sebastian's case is one that is getting a lot of dramatic coverage, speculation coverage. So I just wanted to make sure that we could throw his Amber Alert poster up, and then make sure that eyes can get on it. But other than that, that's kind of where we're gonna leave it. Yeah. All right. So, what shall we do next? Okay. We're going to do, I want to ask you guys, so how many of you guys have followed the latest, and when I say latest, I mean the actual court filings and court proceedings that have happened recently in the Idaho case, Idaho 4 case? Has anyone been following that closely? I'm just curious. There was a recent hearing that I heard about, and I'm not bringing it up to bring up the Idaho 4 case or anything like that, but this was something that I'm curious to hear the general consensus of what they think occurred. So, from what I can gather based on filings and people who have talked about this case, yes, cray cray. And that's what I'm saying. This is not necessarily about information about the case. It's something that happened that the defense did. So I'm just curious. So as you guys know, they filed for the change, or they haven't filed yet, but they're gonna file for the change of venue. Ann Taylor is going to. Hi, Haunting Haley. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much. That she's been very vocal about the fact that she's going to file for a change of venue. What we've found out since then is that the defense has hired someone to create a, what's the word I'm looking for? Create a, hey, Hoodie and a Crowbar. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, and we just found Nonsense's channel not too long ago, and she is the best. A survey, that's the word I was looking for. They had someone create a survey. Thank you, Kelly. To then give it out to the surveys. Give it out to the people within Idaho. She was trying to prove the point that they're biased. But the questions that were in this survey given out, which she claims she had no claim in the making of the questions and such. But okay. But it was a lot of different things like, have you heard about the knife sheath? Or have you heard that Brian did this? Or have you heard this? Where it was very distinct questions regarding very specific parts of the case. And the defense was potentially using it to show, hey, look, these people are saying yes to these questions. They're so biased. We can't get a fair jury here. Where a lot of other people, myself included, yes, cray cray. I think that it was almost they did it on purpose almost, which this is alleged, this is my opinion. But I think that there's a potential that they did it on purpose so that they kind of force the issue of a venue change, because now there's been this survey that's gone out to the residents in Idaho stating all the big parts of this case that are specific to Brian and his guilt. And even though they were doing it to prove that people are biased, it's bringing the information to more eyes and ears, which then in turn makes them biased. So I'm just curious, as I guess my main question is, how many of you think the defense did this on purpose, knowing that it would force a change of venue, or do you really think that, I'm going to be very blunt, are that they're just idiots? Curious. That's literally all I wanted to ask you guys. Based on that, was all that I wanted to ask is, do you guys think this is a very calculated move by the defense? Which obviously we will never know. We are not the defense. We are not, we don't have the inside information to it. Okay, so Cray Cray, do you think this is their way of trying to force the venue change? I'm curious. Okay. Hey, Suzmara. Welcome in. Thank you. They're idiots also, right? Okay. 100% on purpose. Okay, so we're all kind of on the same page. And if you're not on the same page, that's cool too. That was just kind of my thought process. And when I had read all of that, I was like, yeah, Judge was not happy. She did on purpose. She knew what the questions were. Karen Rogers, and that's the thing though, she claimed that she didn't write any of the questions. So because it was just potentially the person who was writing this made um like use the information that was already out on the internet to do this, that it was just stuff that was already out there. But I don't know. But thank you for being here. Oh no, Nora's grandma, she got in trouble. I don't even think they filed for the change of venue yet, like the official filing. She keeps talking about it, but I don't think she even has filed it yet. You know? But I don't know. It's one of those things where that little specific thing that has happened in court recently, I had questions. 100% responsible for the shit show of questions. She didn't know what questions are. She was responsible because she didn't make sure the questions were okay. Kelly P, 100%. 100%. I agree. Let me bring. Where'd you go? Oh my gosh. My comments are going crazy on here. Here we go. I agree, Kelly. 100%. Vicky, welcome back. You're good. No problem. Okay, so there we go. Vicky just stated here, which I told you guys I was gonna let you know. But she stated here that they have another march planned for May 1st in Baldwin, Mississippi. And they'll plan a march in a community in Prentiss County until they receive justice. So there's some more of that information. Once again, once it gets closer, I'll give you guys more information as Vicky passes it along to me as well. In the case of her son, Corey Lambert, and his death. So, I've purposely not been watching. See, and I don't watch the news stations covering it. I don't watch YouTubers covering it. It was more along the lines of I had seen the specifics in court and was curious as to what everyone's thoughts were. All right. So we have what do you guys want to do next? We have to finish talking about Quiet on Set. We have the Stacey Peterson stuff. We have the two moms from Oklahoma, and then we have the Apple River stabbing case. What do you guys want to do next? Just curious. Stacey Peterson. Okay. You have spoken, Nora's grandma. All right. So, I do have here we go. A timeline for those of you that are not familiar with the Stacey Peterson case. Also, a lot of the times it's known because of Drew Peterson. But I do have a little bit of a timeline. Well, NorCal Jim. Dang it, you guys. I'll do the Apple River one next. All right. So this here is from the Columbus Dispatch. And it goes into a little bit of the background timeline of Drew Peterson and then eventually him marrying his third wife, who ends up dying. Everything is fine and dandy. He gets remarried. And then when his fourth wife goes missing, they end up exhuming his third wife. He ends up being charged with her murder, and his fourth wife, which is Stacey Peterson, is still missing till this day. Now we're gonna go on here, so I'm just gonna kind of skim through this. So Drew Peterson marries his high school sweetheart, Carol Hamilton, and then 2 years after graduation from Willowbrook High School, Drew and Hamilton divorce about 6 years later. They have 2 sons. She did not notice any controlling behaviors in Drew, but that they just grew apart. A lot of it due to extramarital affairs. Wow, stand-up guy. Wow. Thistle, I've seen things about it. I don't really know much about it, but I wouldn't mind doing it. Yeah. Yeah, cray cray. He is scary. And then 1983. Now we're getting into Stacey's side of the family, which I'm just going to kind of go through. There's a lot of different family things. So 1983, the youngest child, so Stacey's technically would have been her older sister, dies in a house fire. Then Stacey is born in 84. 87, Stacey's younger sister Lacey dies of sudden infant death syndrome. So on and so forth. Drew Peterson in 1982 then ends up marrying Victoria or Vicky Connolly. 92, they end up getting divorced. She learns of extramarital affairs. Once a cheater, always a cheater. And by this time, he's already dating his third wife at the time, who he was 38 at the time. She was 28. They get married later that year. And then Christy Marie Kales disappears, which is another, I want to say, mom or sibling of Stacey Peterson. But then in 2001, Drew Peterson, at the age of 47, meets a 17-year-old Stacey Kales, front desk clerk at the Bolingbrook Hotel. The two begin dating despite Peterson's marriage to Kathleen. So November 14th, 2002, in the midst of a bitter divorce, Savio, which is his third wife, Kathleen, sends a letter to Will County Assistant State's Attorney Elizabeth Fragale, expressing fear that her estranged husband may kill her. By the time the letter was sent, Bolingbrook police had responded to 10 service calls regarding Drew and Kathleen. Police would respond to 8 more calls before Drew ends up marrying Stacy in October 2003. Many of the calls involved children custody complaints, while others alleged battery of Drew or Stacy by Kathleen. Stacy ends up giving birth to her first child in July of 2003. So if we go back, she's only 19 at this point. He's 49 when she gives birth to her first child. After months of legal disputes, they end up getting divorced. Issue remains unresolved with regard to the distribution of marital assets, so on and so forth. October 2003, Drew, 49, and Stacy, 19, end up getting married. Yeah, gross. I don't know, cray cray. That's a good question. Hey, Sally Mae. Welcome in. Hey, hippie chick. I don't know if I said hi to you yet, but hi. Yeah, it is gross. So then we come into the weekend of February 2004. So it comes into February 27th. Drew picks up Tom and Chris from the home of Kathleen. He spends the rest of the night with Stacy and his children. The 28th, Drew spends the day at home with his family, including his adult son, Steven. Drew and Stacy and the children go to Shed Aquarium before attempting to return. But Shed Aquarium, if you guys are ever in Chicago, incredible. Chicago is one of my favorite cities. For those of you who don't know, huge Cubs fan. Love Chicago. But the Shed Aquarium in Chicago is fantastic. Yeah, cray cray. Definitely, yeah. But Kathleen does not answer the door when they're attempting to return them. Drew calls and leaves messages for Kathleen throughout the day, but does not get a response on March 1st. Goes to work at 5 p.m. and then goes to Kathleen's house at 7 p.m. He summons their neighbors and a locksmith to gain entry. They enter the home while Peterson waits outside. Peterson runs into the house when he hears the neighbors scream. Kathleen's body is found in an empty bathtub in her home. The police respond to the scene, but eventually call the Illinois State Police to investigate her death. The final financial arrangements regarding the division of the marital assets between Peterson and Kathleen are still unresolved, and Kathleen's family members said the issue was supposed to come up again within the next month. I know that the person, so he does end up, well, okay, we'll get into it, but I was going to say his defense attorney in his court case, once he is charged with Kathleen's murder, has come out and spoken since because he quit right before sentencing and has stated that he thinks that the only reason that he did not kill his second wife, which is Vicky, is because in their divorce, she didn't ask for anything financially from him. She just wanted to cut all ties. She didn't need it to be half and half or anything like that. She just wanted to cut it. Oh, really? That's crazy, Nora's grandma. All right, so then it says Peterson produced a handwritten will dated March 2nd, 1997, signed by himself and Kathleen in the will. Each leaves all of their assets to each other. The will's validity is later called into question after reports that Kathleen's divorce attorney said his client had told him she did not have a will. So once again, there's that. Kind of goes into court saying the cause of her death was an accidental drowning. But also notes that Kathleen's hair was soaked with blood from an inch-long laceration on her scalp. Her tongue was partially clenched between her teeth, and she had several small abrasions on her body. A 6-person coroner's jury rules the manner of her death an accident while testifying at the hearing. A police agent tells the jury that investigators found no reason to suspect a homicide, even though she feared her ex-husband. Let's see. January 2005, Stacy and Drew have their second child together, Lacey. Stacy's half-sister, Tina, dies of colon cancer at the age of 31. Oh my gosh, the trauma that this family has gone through. Family members say Stacy was devastated by the death. Drew says his wife hit a period of depression after the death, and their marriage began to get rocky. Let's see. She started talking about mid-October 2007 that she was considering leaving her marriage and everything that goes along with it. Stacy ends up telling her husband October 26th that she wants a divorce and tells family that she fears for her life, according to family members. October 27th, Cassandra Kales leaves Stacy Peterson's home, which is her sister, at about 11:30 p.m. with plans to meet at 10 a.m. the next morning to paint a house. We then get to October 28th, 23-year-old Stacy Peterson disappears. So there's a lot, obviously, to this case. Says Drew returns from the night shift. Stacy tells him she's going to visit her grandfather in the morning. He notices Stacy's not home. He runs errands with the kids. So on and so forth. They all return home. They go out to look for her. All this time, obviously, there's a lot of people that are questioning everything that's happening. So, yeah. There's a lot more to it. Now, up until this point, Stacy has still never been found. When she goes missing, they end up reopening the case into Kathleen's death. They exhume her body and they end up finding it a homicide. He then goes to trial and they are able to charge him with the murder of Kathleen. He is still in jail now. And he's also been accused of potentially trying to set up the murder of the prosecutor at one point from behind the scenes, from behind in jail. And there's just a lot more to it. So the reason I'm bringing up a case from the early 2000s is because there was a recent update, which I'm going to grab. Here we go. Where her sister, Stacy's sister, believes that they potentially found Stacy's body. Now, it is interesting because hang on. Come on. All right. Make sure you're seeing everything. This is from News Nation. Once again, guys, everything is linked down below. All of the articles and everything that I use is always linked down below. But it says, Stacy Peterson's sister believes she's found her remains in an Illinois canal. Stacy Peterson, Drew Peterson's fourth wife, went missing in 2007. Drew Peterson was a suspect in her disappearance. He is currently trying to overturn his conviction in his third wife's murder. So you guys will see here, this is what was seen under the water, which I do have it. I have a slow or a photo of it that I'll bring up here in a minute. It says Cassandra Kales, the sister of Illinois woman Stacy Peterson, who went missing in 2007, believes she found her sister's remains. At the time of her disappearance, Stacy Peterson, then 23 years old, had been married to former Bolingbrook Police Sergeant Drew Peterson. There's another part of that case, as he was a police sergeant, who was 49 at the time. Stacy Peterson has never been found, while Drew Peterson was found guilty of killing his third estranged wife, Kathleen, in 2012. Yeah. I saw that too, Thistle. Ultimately, Peterson, now 70, was sentenced in 2013. Let me close out. There we go. 2013 to 38 years in prison for killing Kathleen, a conviction he is now trying to overturn after also being convicted in 2016 of plotting to kill the Will County prosecutor who put him behind bars. Drew Peterson faces an additional 40 years in prison. Now, all these years later, Kales has never stopped trying to find out what happened to Stacy Peterson. Kales shared an underwater video of what she says is her sister's skeletal remains with Crime Nation, a television show on the CW, which shares a parent company with News Nation. The remains were found in a canal in Lockport, a city 35 miles outside of Chicago, Kales said. News Nation affiliate WGN reported in 2020 that Kales submitted a tip to police about the remains. Authorities searched but did not find Stacy Peterson. Previous searches in the area had also been unsuccessful, a police sergeant told the Chicago Tribune. It literally sucks the life out of me because I know she's there, Kale said on Crime Nation. Where my sister's remains are in the canal, it's not accessible, but me and my team are recovering her. By searching with sonar, Kale said she and her team were able to get live video which shows an upside-down human skull with 2 eye sockets filled with silt and a lower jawbone that fell off. It's somebody, Kale said. Whether it's my sister or not, they need to be brought home. So there's that article. Let me grab the actual photo. Oh, this one's the one that I want. So if you guys can see here, this here is a still shot of the live video, and it kind of gives you guys the overview of this. This is sonar under the water in the canal. But this is what she was sharing, stating that they had found remains. What do you guys think? Curious. Yes. Hi, Punksy. LT, yes. Stacy had recently come out and said, he did it. And then someone was like, did what? And she's like, killed Kathleen. So, yeah. There's a lot more to that case. I could do a deep dive on it. But I just wanted to kind of throw the update up there just so you guys could all see that. So, all right. So next, we will go over the Apple River stabbings. Have you guys followed this at all? So, I followed it when it was happening, mostly because obviously you guys know I'm in Minnesota, but I'm only about 45 minutes, give or take, probably a little over 45 minutes from where this occurred. And I remember the day that this happened because my younger sister was actually tubing down a river that day, and I didn't know where she was. And a lot of times people from our area will go to like the Minnesota-Wisconsin border to, tube down the river. It's just something that people do. So I remember being very nervous when this was happening because I couldn't get a hold of her. She obviously didn't really have her phone because she was on the river. And so, cray cray, I've actually never gone, but I get overheated very easily. So I feel like if I was stuck in a river, I mean, I guess I could just get in the river, but still. I do too, Thistle. But regardless, so this happened in Wisconsin, the Apple River, and like I said, I am very much aware of the case. I wasn't necessarily aware of the ins and outs of it. But the other day I was just scrolling and I happened across one of Tracy Ann Chasing's channels, which I have it in there, I think. I think it's just under Chasing. I'll have to this year. There we go. The court trials, and now it's gonna bug me unless I can find it. Give me a second until I know the name of it. It's a longer name, so that's why it was throwing me off. But there's the link to it regardless. It was here we go. Court trials and interrogations. And she played day 1 of the trial, and I literally sat there and watched it the entire time. It was so interesting, and there was so much to it that I didn't know. So I'll say, just from mainstream media and being somewhat local to this story, local enough, I should say, it was very much just kind of told to the public like some crazy person went and stabbed a bunch of kids that were tubing. Like, that was literally the extent of what I knew of the story until I started watching Tracy Ann's live stream on it, which our local news here is also streaming the trial. But it is very interesting. So, an individual ends up stabbing 5 people on the Apple River in Wisconsin. Yeah. And they're all like between juniors in high school to like just graduated or something along those lines, like that age range. And then the guy who did this was in like his 50s or 60s, I want to say. Um, but regardless, one of the kids does end up dying from the stab wounds. Um, this was, hang on, I have the article. So let me just close out of these because then it makes me feel better if I just can close things. So that way I know what I have and haven't done. So the guy's name is Nikolai Miu. And July of 2022 is when this occurred. So this was in western Wisconsin. Nikolai Miu, a 54-year-old man, accused of stabbing 4 people and killing a teenager in July of 2022 on the Apple River. Let me share this with you guys so at least you don't just see me reading. Hang on. You can see my name in the chat, but I can't see it yet. Hang on. All right. There we go. All right, so Hudson, which is only about 45 minutes or so, a little bit farther. So right, and that's kind of what is coming into this situation as well. So it says Mew is charged with first-degree intentional homicide for the death of 17-year-old Isaac Schumann. Hi, Laura. Thank you so much. Thank you for stopping by. Hi, Tomboy Charm. It's good to see you. Thank you. You're the best. Thank you. He did plead not guilty in September of 2022, and like I said, the trial is current. It is currently going, I believe today or tomorrow is like day 8 of testimonies. But it says the prosecution is arguing, seriously, that Miu was an aggressor in the incident and plans to call more than 40 witnesses to the stand. The defense contending that Miu stabbed the 5 people in self-defense because the teenagers surrounded and taunted him. So we do find out a little bit more about Miu, Nikolai Miu, who, yeah, I hope so. That's my hope, Thistle. He was born in Romania. He ended up immigrating to the United States when he was about 15 or 16. And then they were taken in as political refugees and accepted by a church in Minnesota. The defense attorney highlighted Miu's language proficiency. He grew up speaking Romanian, but also learned Russian. By the time he moved to the United States, Miu also knew French and Latin, and picked up his 5th language, which was English. He went to a school in South Dakota, then became a mechanical engineer. He's a bit of a handyman, good with tools. Miu eventually settled down in Prior Lake with his now ex-wife, Sandra, who goes by Sandy. He later told police that he was living a peaceful, quiet life in Minnesota and had never been in trouble before. Nelson also mentioned that Miu isn't in the best of health. In 2020, he had a heart attack and a quadruple bypass, and it makes him feel very fragile. His ex-wife testified on Wednesday that Miu was released from the hospital 3 to 4 weeks later and has had limitations since the surgery. Okay, so it says here the opening statements in this case were very significant. I think they were very well. Thanks, Laura. I appreciate that. Yeah. You have limits, and once you get pushed past them, you just gotta go with the flow, I suppose, you know. So Nelson said during his opening statements that Miu was with his friends, Amanda and Ernesto, along with a few other adults on the day of the stabbings. Miu had been down the river once before, several years earlier. Miyu brought his pocket knife with him that day because his friend asked him to bring it, Nelson said. Miyu's ex-wife said she'd seen him carry it on him and use it around the house. Miyu also liked to snorkel, so he brought his goggles and snorkel with him that day. At some point, Miyu's friend lost his phone, and the group went to look for it down the river, Nelson said. His ex-wife testified that is not unusual for him to help a friend. That's him. He's the one who ended up stabbing everyone, but like I said, there is a lot more to the story. The first 3 days of the trial have consisted of emotional testimony from several people, including Schumann. So Isaac Schumann is the individual. Am I? No, I'm not. Am I muted? Otherwise, Aaron's freaking me out. Because I've been talking. Can someone let me know? Okay. Aaron, I think it's just you. Because I was like, holy shit, everyone else has been answering me this whole time. Okay. Whew. You scared me there for a second. I was like, shit, how long have I been muted? All right. Including Schumann's mother, who recounted the moment she saw her dead son on the riverbank. Teenager who filmed the video of the incident said he did so after he allegedly heard Miyu say he was looking for little girls. You're fine, Aaron. The 4 others who are stabbed, which their names are there, have all taken the stand showing the courtroom their wounds and describing the chaotic scene. One of them said he punched Miyu after he saw Miyu punch one of his friends. Miyu fell into the water, but he eventually stabbed him in the stomach. The defense has pushed back on the witnesses, pointing out that some were intoxicated and high on marijuana, which could contribute to the jury's perception of the witnesses and question their credibility. That's okay. You're not a problem. Cray cray, she always is. um, but I will say, I'm not going to play the video, but I do have the video that they filmed of this incident linked in the description. But you can see the different parts of when he stabs people. You can also hear a lot of these kids, young adults, they're still kids, very much taunting him. They were calling him the P word, meaning, like they said, touching little girls, stuff like that. He was using his snorkel to potentially look for his friend's phone under the water. One of the young kids then started yelling out, like, why are you trying to look at girls under the water? But he obviously didn't hear them. He was under the water. And it was just a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of pushing and shoving and taunting. But I guess the question still would end up becoming, like, he's saying that it's self-defense. So in the video, there is a lot that can be seen. But just because it is local to me, I wanted to make sure to kind of point that out to you guys. And let you know that I am following this trial. I am watching it. I'm hoping Tracy Ann will go live again so I can watch it with other people and I'm not just watching it with my news station. But I can't ask for too much. There's been a lot of good people live on YouTube lately, so. But I guess I'm curious, for those of you who have followed this case at all, do you guys think it was self-defense? I'm curious. I want to know what he said versus what the kids heard. See, and that's the thing, Kelly, is I've heard lots of different things. I don't exactly remember because I don't want to quote anything that I don't for sure know. But I want to say it had something to do with, like, when I first heard that they started yelling stuff just because he was swimming under the water, like near their tubes. So they assumed that he was looking inappropriately. And that's when they started yelling. And that's when they all started getting into it. It's kind of how I understood it. But I'm not sure 100%. But yeah, so I don't know. It's definitely been very interesting to watch. And like I said, as me being somewhat local and hearing it when it was happening and everything like that, to now kind of hear a completely 180 of the actualities of what is being said and stuff. Yeah, cray cray. And that's kind of the way I'm leaning at this point too. But then at the same time, I'm like, eh. Okay, about what noise, Grandma? No, it was not self defense. Yeah, hippie chick. See, and I've seen that too, where yes, because they were taunting him, they kind of got around him, um, and pushed him down into the water. One guy hit him, but he was fighting back. Now, hippie chick, I have heard a lot of people say though that because when you're on the river, it's not like you can just turn around and start walking back. Like there's a current. And I've heard that, like, there's not very many places he could go. Like, yes, he could have potentially left the situation, but they all would have still been going down the river, if that makes sense. So I don't know, and I think it's more of just like I honestly think that it's just a lot of uh you know what I mean? Like it's a lot of things that all went together to make like the perfect storm to then cause everything. But I will say, hippie chick, I do think that there is some question in regards to at what point do you bring a knife to the fight? Like, I mean, and that's the thing is we will never know his point of view because we weren't there. We don't know exactly how scared he was or nor his grandma. I will say it is quite common to bring some type of pocket knife and stuff like that, especially if you're tying tubes together with rope and such where you're going to have to cut them off or something like that. And his wife did state that they, uh, that he had it before. It wasn't something super, super unusual. But it is interesting. And like I said, yeah, hippie chick. Yeah. And I see that part too. And I think that's why I was so curious to um bring it to you guys to hear your guys' point of views. That's one thing I think true crime is good of. Oh my god. Is good with is allowing for a bunch of different point of views to respectfully come in. And like I said, you're bringing things to my mind that I didn't think of or vice versa and different things like that. So, and that's like I said, I am leaning more towards I guess I don't know. I don't know exactly what I would label it. I think both sides did things wrong and then it just goes into I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like and I don't even know the laws when it comes to I don't think there's anything for like a stand your ground or anything like that here. Yeah. Yeah, hippie chick, you're right. I agree. And I think that was one of my first thoughts too, was just like, what escalated it to the point of bringing your knife out? So you got pushed into the water. Push them back. Like, and I'm not saying fight to fight, but I'm just saying, like, what at that point was it? Well, there's Merp. Merp, we all had everyone saying happy birthday to you earlier. Well, belated. But then I think someone, it was either Heather or Thistle, was going to fire you for not being here on time. So, but it's one of those things where, like I said, I'll probably end up doing a deep dive, especially once we end up getting a verdict, because I do think it's going to be one where it could potentially go either way, depending on what the jury is thinking. But the video did make me, okay, cray cray, that's a good point. Quadruple bypass so that he can't fight. Right. Okay. Hmm. All right. I'll take that one. Not always Thistle. I've seen the feisty side of Thistle before. Right, Laura. But I mean, I think I still though, like, I get that he can't fight. I don't know. And maybe it is just because I'm the type of person where I could never do anything like that regardless. I'm like, I'm down in the river. Like, see ya. I don't think I could fight back like that. You know what I mean? So maybe that's why I don't have the ability to see it from that point of view. Did not result in the death of anyone. Yeah, hippie chick, that's true too. Yeah. Yeah, that the guy that did it potentially did, Aaron. That there were multiple times that he could have potentially walked away and like de-escalated the situation and then chose not to. So then it got him into a situation almost. It escalated when he hit a woman, came over to help. Right. Well, and then in that video, when they were showing the video and interviewing one of the teenagers that was there, even he can't say for sure that he actually hit that woman, potentially. So I don't know. Like I said, it's one that I'm covering very, not covering, ugh, that I am watching, like the actual court. Like I'll watch the 8 hours of court per day. And I find it so interesting. And like I said, I also have linked down below the video that was actually filmed on that day. But just be known that there is video of him potentially unaliving people, stabbing them for sure, but unaliving them or killing them. So, but it'll be interesting. Hippie chick, I'm excited, cray cray, to be able to hear your guys' opinions as more comes out. As well as when a verdict does come out, if you guys agree with it or not. So I think it'll be very interesting to see, like, how where it goes from here. Yeah, one of the teenagers was recording it, or his grandma. It's interesting because in the thing you see it all happening. You hear them taunting him. You see him like turn to walk away and then turn back to them, and the whole thing is like, I don't even know. But then you see him as he gets pushed into the water, get back up and start stabbing people, and then they don't even realize what's happening. And then about, 20 seconds, 30 seconds after he stabs people, you hear them being like, I don't think anyone knew Cray Cray. Because even in the video, you can hear like them be like, is this real? Or is he really doing that? Is what's happening really happening? And so on, you know? Me too, Nora's grandma. The same reason that I don't carry my taser around too. Like, I shock myself as I pull it out of my bag. All right. So let's get into, let me close this. Two more things that we're going to talk about before we end it tonight. And I'm going to close that. Make sure we have it. Right, hippie chick, right. Like I said, I think it'll be very interesting, and I think it'll be a very interesting conversation to have as a whole once everything comes out. So I look forward to you guys being here for that. Um, like I said, I posted the video down below as well. All right. We're going to touch on the two women missing out of Oklahoma, the two moms. Let me grab it. Not that one. Which one? All right. So this here is the at-risk missing persons posters. We have on the left Veronica Butler, 27. And then on the right we have Jillian Kelly, 39. And I do have an article just because I haven't been able to do a super, super deep dive, but I wanted to make sure that I could get their faces out there for this. But then I do have the article. Which also Alex Erickson did cover this earlier today as well. And so it says police are still searching. Once again, there's their photos. Police are still searching for 2 Kansas women who were on their way to pick up children to take them to a birthday party, with investigators now saying that foul play is suspected in their disappearance. Authorities say that Veronica Butler, 27, and Jillian Kelly, 39, mysteriously vanished in a rural part of Texas County, Oklahoma. Both women are thought to be involved in religious communities in Kansas, with Miss Kelly being the wife of a pastor in the area, but had recently taken up a new posting in Nebraska. There have been no sightings of the women since they seemingly abandoned a car that authorities believe they were traveling in. No arrests have been made, but investigators believe there is evidence to indicate foul play. Now investigators are on the hunt to find answers on what happened to the women in what they have branded a suspicious disappearance. It is. This is a weird one. It'll be really interesting, Hippie Jig, because I do think there's a lot more people that are on your side of thinking than the guilty. So then it says, here's what we know about the case. An abandoned car, the car that the women were believed to be traveling in at the time, that went missing from, was found abandoned on the side of a road in Texas County, Oklahoma. After the OSBI assessed information obtained from the victim's vehicle, the investigation believes there was evidence to indicate foul play. No further details have been released on the nature of the evidence. The vehicle was found near Highway 95 and Road L, just south of Elkhart, Kansas, a rural community near the Oklahoma border. At the time, the women were on their way to pick up children, as the Endangered Missing Advisory Notice by the Texas County Sheriff's Department says. However, they never made it to their pickup location. No arrests have been made in connection to the case, but investigators are continuing to search for the women they have now labeled as victims. The women were reportedly going to pick up Miss Butler's children to attend a birthday party when they disappeared. Tim Singer, Miss Butler's pastor. Did that just jump? Seriously? From the Assembly of God told ABC News. An anonymous person close to Miss Butler relayed similar information to KVII and said they were supposed to pick up the children up from Ava, Oklahoma. So, from what I've gathered, from what I've heard in different places too, potentially the older one, which is Jillian, was like a guardian ad litem, because Veronica needed to be supervised around the children. So she had offered to be supervised, and they were acquaintances like through the church, is kind of the vibe I was getting. It says, however, the OSBI told the outlet that they could not confirm why and where these women were going and coming from, as it is still under investigation. Yeah? I wonder too, Kelly. It is unclear what day this was, but the OSBI made their investigation announcement on Sunday. There's a lot of shock and confusion in the community amid their mysterious disappearance, Mr. Singer told ABC News. We're expecting their return and to see their faces again soon, he said. So it goes on to talk about the 2 missing women. Once again, guys, Veronica Butler, 27, is on the left. Jillian Kelly, 39, is on the right. They are described as acquaintances, and that some people have, if you hear, it was stated that they were friends. That was just presumed, regardless. So Jillian, which is the older of the 2 on the right, is the wife of a new minister in Nebraska. Was previously her husband was previously a pastor in the same area where the church attended by Miss Butler is located. Let's keep reading. The mother of Miss Kelly told K4 that her daughter is a mother of 4. So Jillian Kelly has 4 children, is loved by everyone, and does a lot of volunteer work in the community. She also added that she currently works as a secretary at the church and runs all of the children's programs. She has brown hair, blue eyes, and a butterfly tattoo on her left forearm. Her clothing consisted of whitewashed blue jeans, a long-sleeved shirt, and tan or beige shoes. Veronica Butler, which is the mother of the kids that they were potentially going to pick up, it says Miss Butler's former school is not far from where the abandoned car was found. So, as a precaution, the school implemented a lockdown on Tuesday with additional safety measures in place. The school superintendent said Butler was part of the class of 2015 and was a class of one that year, meaning she was the only senior graduating. So, that's kind of showing you the population in this area. Let's see. I joked about her being the top of her class and, well, the bottom also, the superintendent wrote. An anonymous friend described her to K4 as being kind, good with kids, loved gardening, cooking, and baking. Miss Butler's stepmom, Guadalupe Torres, and father, Clinton Butler, separately told NBC News that the missing woman had been in a difficult custody dispute. So that's another important part of this. Court records seen by the outlet show a custody case was opened in late March of 2015 and closed almost a month later. Miss Butler has red hair, green eyes, several tattoos, including a Chinese symbol on her left forearm and a sunflower on her left shoulder. According to the Endangered Missing Advisory posted by the Texas County Sheriff's Department, she was wearing a blue short-sleeve shirt, denim shorts, and Hey Dudes. The state of the investigation. It is LFT, it's crazy. The Texas County Sheriff's Department requested help from the state's OSBI agency to find the women. While the disappearance has been branded as suspicious by the agency, OSBI spokesperson Hunter McGee, I believe they were with their grandma was their guardian. I don't know if it's her mom or his mom. I want to say it might have been his mom, but I'm not sure. Told NBC News that there are currently no suspects in the investigation and no threats against the women have been reported. Despite this, Mr. McKee also told ABC News that there's every reason to believe that they could be in danger. It was a very rural area. There's nowhere to be found. The fact that we've had no contact with them for this long, he added. Agents are still working around the clock on this to try and find where these women are, what may have occurred, Mr. McKee said to NBC. He also told News Nation that due to not knowing where the women are or what happened to them, the unknown is what has created it as suspicious for this time. Their churches are praying for them. I'm not sure, Aaron. That's a good question. I'm not sure who ended up finding the car. But if anyone does have any information regarding the case, with either Veronica or Jillian, please reach out to the OSBI at tips@osbi.ok.gov or 1-800-522-8017. So once again, this is a weird one, guys. This is one where I know that there's a lot of Laura Woodham's. That is what the online rumblings are saying, is that's kind of the way that people are, leaning towards, that it had something to potentially do with individuals in Veronica's past. But I'd have to do a deeper dive before I'd want to speak on it or anything like that. But Nancy Grace covered. Okay, let me see. I'll put their picture back up for a second. Nancy Grace covered this and said there was a witness that said one of the windows on the driver's side was broken. Interesting. By Butler's husband says report. Thank you, Aaron. Okay. Wait. Does she have a husband now? So this is not the father of her kids, though, correct? Interesting. I'm not sure. But once again, this is getting covered, like I said. I know Alex Erickson was covering it. I've seen a few other channels here on YouTube covering it. I will keep you guys up to date on it. But I wanted to make sure that we could share their faces out here for that. So, okay. We're almost done. We're almost done. Which we already kind of talked about this, but the last thing that we're going to cover is quiet on set. So, how many of you guys, I know some of the people that were in here at the very beginning had already said yes or no, but how many of you guys have watched the Quiet on Set documentary? Just curious. If you guys don't know, no, because they were going through a custody dispute, Aaron. And she was going to have visitation with the kids. So I don't think they're together, but I don't know. So for those of you that don't know, Quiet on Set, you guys can watch it on, is it on Paramount Plus or Discovery Plus? One of the two. High traffic truckers. Yeah. Kelly P, that's a good question. So for those of you that haven't watched it, do you know what it's about? I'll ask that, I guess, next. So the documentary is called Quiet on Set: The Dark Side of Kids TV, and it goes over Dan Schneider, who is the creator of a lot of Nickelodeon shows all the way back from the 90s till today. Dan Schneider was the creator of all that. The Amanda Show, Keenan and Kel, to then all the way up to like iCarly, Zoe 101, Victorious, all the way up to shows that kids are watching nowadays like Henry Danger. He's the creator for all of these shows. But this goes into, the documentary goes into the toxic work environment for these kids. And as they were working during this time. So there's a lot of the kids that were on all that, which is like a kids version of SNL, is kind of what they had explained it as. That were interviewed during this, and different things of, that there was racial discrimination, or a lot of the writers that Dan supposedly had made the two female writers split a salary, where then the male writers all had their own salary. Hi, Fiery Earth. It's good to see you. One of the grandparents, hippie chick. And so on. So then it kind of goes into that. It goes into a lot of the different things that Dan Schneider would make the writers do, to then what the different kids would say. He would try and get different people to give him massages on set, and a lot of the stuff that was written into the shows was generally inappropriate. You too, Fiery Earth. I'm not sure, hippie chick. I'd have to look. But that things that are generally, inappropriate, and then also bringing in the power dynamic between these situations of a lot of these kid actors, even if their parents were around, did not have the ability to say, no, I'm not comfortable with that, or no, I'm not going to do that, or so on and so forth, because you can't say no to the creator of this, because if you say no, you're gone. I know. So there's a lot to it, and like I said, it's something that it's crazy to me. It brings into the conversation, which I know I've talked about multiple times on here, but child exploitation, how the new age of child exploitation is now within, YouTube, family vlogging, sharing your children's personal information on the internet for everyone to see for the rest of their lives. Once it's on the internet, it's on the internet, regardless of if you delete it or not. And how a lot of these kids whose parents are family vloggers or that were child actors, they lose dignity because their children having to make choices and have the entirety of their family's financial burden on their back and not the parents' back, or different things like that. So one person, if you guys are interested in learning a lot more about, especially on YouTube, child exploitation, family vloggers, the world of family vlogging, and the different impacts that it has had, child actors, what one? Cray cray. One of the individuals that I follow a lot for this information, whose channel very much surrounds that, is the Dad Challenge Podcast. Josh over at the Dad Challenge Podcast, his whole goal is to fight child exploitation. Now, I warn everyone, just as Josh warns everyone, he can be a dick, but he's doing it for the right reasons. Oh, right, cray cray, I agree. I was like, "Oh no, what did I do that was rude?" But no, I agree. So, yes, and I think we have the DCP in here. Let me make sure. Maybe if it wants there we go. So there's Josh's link, and like I said, he's a bigger channel, but he fights a lot of the child exploitation going on YouTube, as well as he did cover Quiet on Set as well. Um, but one of the big things that came out of Quiet on Set was the fact that there were multiple child A words, um, also known as, I don't even know how to say this on YouTube. Uh, doing inappropriate things with children, um, that were hired on these sets at Nickelodeon. Now, based on different things, there is different laws when it comes to actual, like, finances for child actors. Those laws are not set in stone, as we can tell if any of you guys read Jeanette McCurdy's book called I'm Glad My Mom Died. Phenomenal book. Even if you listen to the audiobook, she does it herself and it's phenomenal. She played Sam on iCarly as well as Sam on Sam and Cat. Yeah, the bad crime, right. And she goes into not only how she was exploited by her mother took all of her money, everything like that. But she also does touch on someone known as the creator, which, if you think about it, on iCarly and Sam and Cat, Dan Schneider is the creator of those shows. But it goes into everything of that. Her mom was gross. It was terrible. Yeah. But it's a great, great book. If you guys haven't read it, you should because it's great. And then they have the Coogan Law, which is in regards to finances. But based on what I've learned from Quiet on Set, is that because there are parents on set, the actual studios did not have to potentially do background checks on its employees. Because of this like loophole, there were at least 3 documented guilty, so went to court, was found guilty of being sex offenders, um, that worked on these shows. Now, most notably was Brian Peck, who, if any of you guys watched all that, he was the pickle guy who would just carry the tray of pickles around. Um, and he was also the dialect coach for a lot of these like young actors. He ends up in 2004 being charged with a ton of horrendous stuff. Like, I can't even bring it on here, it's so bad. Um, but very, very horrendous RAPE, utilizing like actual different things and everything like that. And it was with a child star. Well, we find out due to Quiet on Set that this individual that he was doing this to for so long was actually Drake Bell from Drake and Josh. Um, yes. And Drake finally comes out and tells his story in this. Um, but another big part of this that really got to me is the after effect. Like, so after I watched all this, which there are now 5 episodes, the 5th episode released last night. Um, but it goes into the different people who have worked. Mm-mm. He ended up, Brian Peck ended up only getting a year in jail. But one of the interesting parts of that is that the amount of celebrities and people in this general, he was the one who was being M-worded by the guy was Drake Bell. He was the victim in this. And he finally did his like first on-camera interview about it for Quiet on Set. Um But the amount of people who wrote letters to the court during this court case of Drake Bell versus Brian Peck, no relation to Josh Peck, for those of you who are asking, but no. But Brian Peck is the amount of people that, oh, no, Nora's grandma, wrote letters in support of Brian Peck in this. So not the individual who's the victim in this, but for Brian Peck, stating different things along the lines of, well, Brian would have had to have been pushed to his wits' end to even think about giving into a young kid like this. He must have been forced into this, and like all these different people, and it's big named people. I want to say, hang on, I have the Business Insider that kind of goes over the amount of people that wrote letters in support of Brian Peck, who was now knowingly molesting Drake Bell. The things that, yeah, right, cray cray. The things that people were writing is like disgusting. The way that they were like, they tricked him into touching him. They did different things. So obviously, you guys know this here is Drake Bell. He was first got started on a lot of different shows. I didn't actually realize how much he was into acting and stuff when he was younger. He was on Home Improvement for a little bit, and then obviously he started on the Amanda Show, all that, the Amanda Show, and then eventually got Drake and Josh, which was probably his biggest hit and what most people know him for. But we end up finding out during this documentary that he was the one that was being essayed by the acting coach. So 41 family members and friends wrote letters in support of Brian Peck. This is the perpetrator, not Drake. So the person who did this to Drake, these are people writing for him. It says here that some of the letters were written by celebrities, including James Marsden, Alan Thicke, and Ryder Strong, which it will get a little bit more into if you don't necessarily recognize names. So let's see. He ended up being arrested in August of 2003 on 11 charges of child essay. In October 2004, he was sentenced to 16 months in jail, ordered to register as an SO. But before the judge sentenced him, 41 of Peck's friends and family, including notable celebrities, wrote letters in support of the dialogue coach. It is unclear what these supporters were told about Peck's crimes. I think he's dead to everyone. Gray. I'm pretty sure he's just dead in general. But the letters were sealed until Maxim Production, one of the docuseries producers, successfully petitioned the court to unseal them in 2023. There were so many people in power that tried to protect this person. Bell told Business Insider's Kate Taylor in March, not only people in power, but people that I considered friends. Seeing that some of these people were friends of mine later in life, people that I'd worked with later in life, and have no idea that they had written letters, that's just a new thing to process. Here's a look at some of those letters written by celebrities, including James Marsden, Alan Thicke, and Ryder Strong. So we're just going to skim through them. I'm not going to read them. I know that I'll have to find it, but there's a TikTok account that goes through and reads these letters in full. After the live, I'll go and find it and link it down below for you guys if you guys are interested in watching that. But so James Marsden, if you guys don't know, he's in 27 Dresses. He's in, what else is he in? Enchanted. He has that new show. I don't know. But I also heard that he could potentially be subpoenaed in the Diddy case. So there's that, cray. But I haven't heard that for sure. I'm trying to think. He has that new show where they did the fake jury thing. And he was in Sonic. And I'm trying to think of what else. But anyways, Marsden said that he was a close... Yes, Summer. That was what I was thinking. That was kind of my thought. Cray said Alan Thicke is dead to me, and I said I think he's dead to everyone, literally. Pretty sure. Marsden said that he was a close friend of Peck and that they met through a mutual actor acquaintance. In his letter, Marsden credited Peck with encouraging him to move to LA to pursue acting and said the dialogue coach was one of the reasons why I've been as successful as I have been in this industry. The Jury Duty, that's the show. Starr also said that Peck was a willing mentor who taught him the ropes in Hollywood. Marsden said that Peck's arrest was unimaginable. I've known Brian for 14 years. Never once did I ever see any sign of him being capable of something like this, Marsden wrote. I have lived at his house for months and shared hotel rooms with him, and never once did he ever make me feel compromised or uncomfortable in any way. These are just parts of the letter that they wrote in order to help him potentially get off of, the charges of essaying. Said what right? No, I said it up there, I think. X-Men Enchanted. Hairspray. Hairspray is the one I was thinking of. 27 Dresses, yeah. Thank you, Kathleen. And welcome. Thank you. I just always remember him as the hot guy who sang Benny and the Jets with What's-Her-Face on the bar in 27 Dresses. So then we have Taran Killam. If any of you guys are fans of SNL, he was on SNL for a very long time, who worked on multiple Nickelodeon shows before Saturday Night Live and said that Peck was one of his dearest friends. Killam appeared on The Amanda Show, All That, and Drake and Josh. He said that he instantly became friends with Peck when they first met a few years earlier. Killam said he was shocked by Peck's arrest and called it too out of character. I have seen the effects the situation has had on Brian, and I know for a fact that he regrets any mistakes made, and that this is certainly not something that would ever happen again, he wrote. Once again, would not comment for the documentary. Growing Pain star Alan Thicke, the one that plays Bones, or plays Booth in Bones. Kathleen, is that who you were thinking of? Just curious. Growing Pain star Alan Thicke described Peck as an honorable, respectable, intelligent human being. Blech. Thicke who was best known as his role as patriarch Jason Seaver on Growing Pains. In his letter to the judge, he said that Peck was highly professional and a nurturing mentor to the children on the set of the sitcom. No, Spike. Oh, okay. Brian's integrity and self-respect have always been important to him, and this turn of events has been mortifying to him in ways that will only make him a better, stronger citizen in the future. These are people writing in support of someone who has already been potentially found guilty of SAing a child. I don't get it. Don't get it. Joanna Kearns, who worked with Peck for 7 years on Growing Pains, called him a good man that made a mistake, but not a bad man who got caught. Yes, because essaying a child is a mistake. Unbelievable. He's already out, Cray Cray. He only spent a year in prison. Or in jail. And this was back in 2004. So the only reason that this is coming back to light is because Drake Bell has come out as the victim in this case. So now people know who it is. Yes, David's the one that I liked. Right? Yes. He's the one that played Booth in Bones as well. Seeley Booth. In her letter, Kearns called Peck gifted at his job and said that he was a big help to the kids on the set of Growing Pains. In the 7 years we worked together, there was never a second of doubt about his appropriateness with the children he worked with, Kearns wrote. I've never known Brian to engage in the type of illegal activity with which he is charged and can only believe that there must have been some extreme situation or temptation exerted upon him to influence his actions. This is the victim's fault, according to this lady. Kearns told the producers of Quiet on Set that her letter of support was based on misinformation. Knowing what I know now, I never would have written it, she said. So for Drake's case, his dad, which you learn a lot more about in the documentary, tried to he saw what Brian was, even had told his mom when his mom took over custody and everything that, keep Brian Peck away from Drake and so on. And unfortunately, which Drake does not hold it against his mom because he claims that Brian Peck was very good at what he did. That a lot of this ended up being he would have acting classes or something like that, like an hour and a half away from his home. And Brian Peck lived near where the acting classes were. So instead of him driving an hour and a half home every night or, 4 or 5 nights a week, Brian just told his mom, like, hey, he can spend the night at my house and then he'll sleep on the couch and I'll drive him home in the morning. She was like, awesome. That way no one's driving late at night. No one falls asleep at the wheel, so on and so forth. So this all happened during those times. But like even Drake had said, like, there were people that didn't even know that it was him up until this point. Like Josh Peck even came out and was like, made a statement, and Drake was like, he came out and apologized to me and told me he was there for me and has been there for me. But like even Josh from Drake and Josh was not aware of the severity of this until now. And then once this Quiet on Set documentary came out, the producers of the documentary ended up FOIAing or trying to get all of the documents that had been sealed up to this point and got a lot of them, which is where we're seeing a lot of these letters and such. So it says General Hospital actor Ron Melendez called Peck extremely generous with his time and energy and devoted to his inner circle. Melendez said that he had known Brian for more than 10 years and lived with him during 2 different time periods. His letter, like some others, contained victim-blaming language. Melendez says that he was familiar with the relationship between Peck and Bell, who was referred to at the time as John Doe, to protect his identity. I've met his family, seen his behavior, and understood that there were problems, he said of Bell. So he's talking about Drake Bell now, the victim. I saw him pursue a friendship with Brian, maintain their close ties, and saw his parents cede more and more of their parental duties to Brian. Brian made a large mistake, but it was not his alone. X-Men producer Tom DeSanto wrote that jail time would be detrimental to Peck's efforts to pull his life back together. DeSanto met Peck when he visited Marsden on the set of X-Men, where the actor portrayed Scott Summers / Cyclops in 1999. He described Peck as well respected and a loved professional. He said his arrest was surprising and uncharacteristic. In parts of the letter that were redacted to keep Bell anonymous in the case, DeSanto said that the TV star came across as very mature yet complex. DeSanto said that Bell was dealing with a lot of personal issues and Brian was someone he could talk to. Yeah. He also said that the actor behaved differently with various people and seemed to be very fearful of his father and unable to communicate with him whatever sexual issues he was going through at the time. It's one of those things that as you read through these, which this is not even my first time reading through these, it infuriates me. It infuriates me. I don't care if that person has been your best friend for 3 decades. I don't give a shit. A victim is a victim. And if your person that's been your friend for 30 years is the predator in this, then they get everything that they deserve. Sorry. I know Brian has learned from his mistake, and if I had children, I would be 100% comfortable leaving them in his care. So now, again, a representative for DeSanto has come out since all of this has occurred and said that he lacked full awareness of the gravity of the accusations at the time. With the knowledge and understanding I possess today, I want to personally apologize to Drake and his family and empathetically state that I've been fully informed of all the accusations. My support would have been absolutely withheld. Oh, right, Summer. And that's the thing, is not all of these letters have been released yet. But we know that there were 41. Now, I will say for the two Boy Meets World stars, so Will Friedle and Ryder Strong, which play Corey's brother, is Will Friedle. And then Sean is Ryder Strong. What's his brother's name in the show? Corey. Eric Matthews. 41 letters of support of Brian Peck, Nora's grandma. So Will Friedle plays right, Kelly P. Will Friedle plays Eric Matthews on Boy Meets World, and then another one that we will see is Ryder Strong, which plays Sean, Corey's best friend on Boy Meets World. Now, I will say that out of all these people, Will Friedle and Ryder Strong, they do have a podcast with the girl who played Topanga on Boy Meets World, Danielle Fishel, and they do cover this. And Will Friedle specifically talks about what caused him to go in support. He was actually in court on Nora's grandma. He's alive. But he was actually in court supporting Brian Peck during this court case. And he goes on to talk about it and how he felt like he didn't have a choice in being there and all this different stuff, which people can have their own opinions regardless. But he is one of the people who has come out since and kind of given his entirety of it. But regardless, he still wrote a letter. So it says, in the letter, Friedle said that he met Peck on the set of Boy Meets World, which ran for 7 years. He emphasized that the set was full of children. He didn't see Peck act inappropriately with anyone. Brian was always shown himself to be a man of integrity and honor. I can only stress and honestly state that Brian must have felt an overwhelming sense of pressure and temporary loss of reason, he added. It would be a case of a very good person slipping. Not true. Ryder Strong, once again, states that one of the most dependable people. It's extremely disturbing to learn of Brian's arrest. Strong wrote, maliciousness is so anti-ethical, nope. To his nature, it is impossible for me to comprehend a situation that would lead him to do something illegal or inappropriate. Ahead of the release of Quiet on Set, Strong, Friedle, and co-star Danielle Fishel spoke about Peck, who guest starred on Boy Meets World on the podcast titled Pod Meets World. Strong and Friedle said that Peck claimed that he was the victim who's taken advantage of. No. In addition to writing letters in support of Peck, they also attended his sentencing at the courthouse. We weren't told the whole story, and it doesn't change the fact that we did it, Friedle said. I still can't get the words out to describe all the things that I'm feeling inside of myself. There's been a handful of other people. Kimmy Robertson goes on to state she had different guest appearances on Drake and Josh. I noticed this young man kept asking me about Brian and generally being sleuth-like. I also noticed no gay male, i.e. makeup, hair, or PA want to be alone in a room with him. Now, she's talking about Drake Bell, the victim in this. She's once again victim blaming. Robertson said she believed that Peck was pressured and appeared to call Bell, whose name is redacted, an outrageous, overtly gay, oversexed person. What? He totally took advantage of Brian's willingness to help anyone who needs it, she wrote. Directors. Right. Exactly, Kelly P. It's not like he wrote it on his freaking forehead with a permanent marker. I do this to kids. Directors Beth and Rich Coral, not sure how they pronounced it, vouched for Peck's integrity in their letters to the judge. They were a husband-wife duo that had experience working on Nickelodeon shows like The Amanda Show, All That, Drake and Josh, and Zoe 101. Every show that Brian and I have worked on together has had children on it, and without exception, to my knowledge, every one of those children and their parents enjoyed Brian's company, support, talent, and experience, and always looked forward to working with him again. Because she's talked to every single child and their parent. Everyone. It was also this couple. So even after his conviction and he spent the year in jail, he ends up being hired at Disney Channel. Now they did keep him potentially away from the kids. The one notable episode of the show, which you guys will see on here, is the Carells ended up getting him a job on The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Correct, Annie. Yeah. And good to see you, Annie. Thanks for coming in. That almost every single one that has made a comment about it after the fact has been like, I didn't know the full story. Which, regardless, if you don't know the full story of anything, don't touch on it. Or say you don't know the full story. That goes with everything, anywhere, anytime. Don't give your opinion on something that you know nothing about. Simple as that. And yeah, Kelly, so he ends up getting a job. The specific job was on The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. And he ends up, there's an episode where London Tipton, which I don't know if you guys watched The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. I did. But that London Tipton has a mirror that she can go to and try on something, and the mirror would tell her whether she looked good or bad in the outfit, okay? He ends up, Brian Peck, after, hey Rhiannon, after his conviction and after he's in jail for essaying, he gets this job where he gets to be the voice of the mirror on The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. So he's not around the kids, but the job that he got on the show was to tell children how they looked via being a mirror. You know? So, yeah. It's so much. And then obviously it started coming out again. And this is because this oh my God. The husband-wife duo ended up bringing it up. So, and then that's like the notable people. And yes, like they said here, the Carells said in a statement to the producers of Quiet on Set that they had no input or involvement in the casting of Peck on The Sweet Life. They said that when they asked Peck about the case, he simply replied that the problem had been resolved. AKA, he went to jail for essaying a child. Resolved. So if you guys, I highly, highly, highly recommend going and watching this documentary. I will say you need a trigger warning while going over it because there is a lot to it. You see a lot of different innuendos that Dan Schneider had written into the shows. There's a lot of sexual jokes that were overtly sexual. And then you also hear from a lot of the actors and actresses who were children that were acting out and doing these scenes, being like, I just did what I was told, because if I made a fuss of anything, I wouldn't be in this industry anymore. So it's just, oof. It's something that is so, I don't even know how to say it. Like, it's so unbelievably disgusting, but the information in it is like unmatched to the point where you need to go watch it yourself to be able to get all the information. So, okay, that's everything. It is called Quiet on Set. I know it's been playing on Investigation Discovery. What was it that it's on? Is it, what's the, hang on. I want to see if it's on Paramount Plus or Discovery Plus. Okay, so it's on Discovery Plus is where you can watch the entirety. They also, like I said, had um added the final episode. I don't know if it's the last episode because they didn't even say that there was going to be a fifth episode until after the original episode aired. But as of right now, it is called Quiet on Set. Here, I can bring it up. I have the. Well, I might not actually. Oh no, I do. Hang on. Show you the cover of it. So this is Quiet on Set. It is the dark side of kids TV. This is what the cover photo of it looks like if you go to look for it. But I think it's something that's very, very, very important. So it's originally only had 4 episodes, Nora's Grandma. It's also, if you have regular TV or anything like that, it's on Investigation Discovery, and they've been playing it throughout the days as well. So you don't necessarily have to have a subscription, but I also know they do have the free trials on Discovery Plus as well. So it's 4 episodes, Nora's Grandma. I think they're like 45-minute episodes each. And then they just added a 5th episode, which includes Drake's, as well as a few other of the child actors' response to the response of the documentary. So it's really very good. Like I said, the child exploitation of things is something that I'm very passionate about. It's also, I'm not going to lie, one of the reasons that it's taken me 2 weeks to get back on YouTube, just because YouTube has been a shit show of child exploitation recently, especially in the true crime world. Annie O, the documentary is on Discovery Plus. It also has been on just regular TV on Investigation Discovery. Yeah. I would be very careful to watch it with littles around the Nora's Grandma. Even older littles, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just, and like I said, I think this hit me so hard because these were the shows that I watched. So it's like, now I know that all of the kids in everyone of my childhood were going through this as I was just enjoying it. You know, not enjoying that happening to them, but like enjoying the shows. But yes, I have to see. Let me see if there's anywhere else that it is. Okay, so it says here Discovery Plus, Fubo TV, HBO Max. You can watch it with a premium subscription on Hulu, Sling TV, Amazon Prime Video, and YouTube TV are a few of the places where you could potentially find it. It's called Quiet on Set. So, but I think that's everything. Thank you guys for sticking around through the ups and the downs of tonight. I appreciate everyone for being here, and yes, thank you, Summer. And listening to all these cases, being willing to just even look at the faces of some of the missing people, and so on, helping in the fight for justice for those who have been found, but we're fighting for justice for, as in Madeline Kingsbury or the Corey Lambert case. And thank you for taking in content that is not exploitative and sensationalized, because unfortunately that's been something that's been running rampant in the YouTube true crime. Oh, it's on demand. Great, Kelly P. There you guys go. Unfortunately, it's been running rampant on specific cases on YouTube, to the point where it really, I've heard a lot of other creators say this. I've heard Allie talk about it. I've heard Jen Liu talk about it. The question of like, what am I doing here? Is it something that you should still be doing when the same genre of like true crime YouTube is such in a negative place right now that you don't even want to be associated with it, regardless of what you're trying to do to be better, if that makes sense. And so, You're welcome, Summer. I watched it. I stayed at my house last weekend, and we ended up watching it. She fell asleep halfway through, but I ended up watching the whole thing. And it was just it's crazy too because the individuals who are being interviewed in Quiet on Set are individuals where I'm like, "Oh, I remember her," or like they'd show a scene that made them feel uncomfortable, and you're like, "Oh my god, I thought that was so funny when I watched it." And it's crazy to think like that child felt uncomfortable making the thing that made you laugh. And that I think is hard for me to comprehend at the same time. No, of course, thank you. Um, so I'm working on, like I said, I'm working on a few deeper dives. Um, Still, I got a lot going. Um, I've been working a lot, which is also another reason why it's been taking me so long to get on here. Um, but just life, guys. But just remember, stay kind. Make sure that you guys are giving your oh, thank you, Summer. Thank you so much. Your YouTube currency. And when I say YouTube currency, I don't mean money. I mean your views, your watch hours, your likes, your comments. Make sure you're giving them to places that you want to grow and not to people that shouldn't be growing. Now, that is something that you get to decide. No one else gets to decide what you enjoy and who you like. But just know that your YouTube currency is important. So make sure that you guys stay kind. Um, and I will see you guys around the YouTube streets. I think Deets is live right now. So I might go over there if she's still live. Otherwise, follow all my friends. I have a lot of my friends' channels linked in the description box down below. My mods have been dropping them as well. We have TNLFT over on the Decipher Podcast. They've been killing it. Theresa over on Criminality has been killing it. If you guys are into the Delphi case, you need to go watch Theresa over there. And then everyone else. There's a lot of people. Alex Erickson, Jen Liu, Nonsense. I've been loving. I was watching Duchess too. She's been really great. Who else have I been watching lately? Of course, I can't think of anyone as I'm put on the spot. As I put myself on the spot. Been watching Josh the Dead Challenge podcast. Like I said, Tracy Ann Chasing. Her channel, the court trials and interrogations. We've been following the Apple River trial on that one. Nonsense. Allie. Attorney Melanie Little. She's really great as well. Hi, K-Braze. I love you, Norris Grandma. Thank you. But I think that's everything, and I will keep you guys updated. Like I said, if you guys can't find me or if it takes me longer to get back on here, I'm just doing stuff behind the scenes, but always feel free to message me if you guys see. I have my link tree linked in the chat, which has all the different ways that you can find me. But also you guys will see me around the YouTube streets because I'm commenting everywhere because I'm doing it. I'm listening to everything everywhere. So, but once again, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for staying here. Thank you for everything. Those of you that are just listening, those of you that are commenting, I appreciate it more than you guys know. I love you too, Merp. And happy belated again. And I will talk to you guys soon. All right. Bye, guys.